So my dad loves guns, and he loves deer hunting. And he loves deer hunting so much he kept doing it even after he slipped on the back of his ATV and snapped his ankle over and just had to sort of dangle there until he could reach his pistol and fire off a distress signal. Now, even though I grew up in Mississippi, I didn't love deer hunting the way my dad did. But he always sort of wanted to connect with me that way, and after my parents got divorced, I would go with him every once in a while, kind of grudgingly. But there was one time I was really excited to go. I was 15 and I had my learner's permit. And so that meant when we were going over from where we lived in Mississippi to this camp about an hour away in Alabama, I could drive the gold extended cab Chevy Silverado that had belonged to my late alcoholic grandfather all the way there and all the way back. So when the day came on Saturday, my dad came over to my mom's house to pick me up. I drove the truck all the way over to Alabama to this camp in the middle of the woods. I did great. I hit the rumble strip a few times, but other than that, perfect. So we get there and we all sort of mill around for a little while, and everybody picks which little green patch of grass in the middle of the woods they're going to go to hunt the deer. And this time, which we'd never done before at the place we usually go, there was a pool. So everybody put in $10, and whoever got the biggest deer by weight at the end of the day would get all the money. So we put in our $10, we all go our separate ways. I sit in my little outhouse-shaped box and wait for the deer to come. And that day about dusk, a deer does come, and I actually shot it. And it was not the first time I had, but it was fine, and it wasn't a particularly impressive deer, but it was, in the words of Milton Berle, it was enough to win. So I won the pool, and I got about $120, which was great. So I got $120 in my pocket. I'm 15 years old. I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm walking around sort of from group to group of grown-ups who I don't really know, but they're sort of drinking beers and talking about stuff. And it gets later and later, and finally I was like, all right, my mom's gonna be freaking out. We gotta get home. So I turned around on my dad. Dad, we gotta go. Okay, just a few more minutes. All right, Dad, we gotta go. Okay, just one more drink. Okay, Dad, we gotta go. And so I hadn't noticed because I'd been sort of socializing around that my dad had taken full advantage of having a designated driver for the evening. So whereas normally he was an accomplished beer drinker, that night he had innumerable mixed drinks. And that became most apparent to me about 10 miles out from the camp when he just sort of slumps over onto the dashboard, passed out. I couldn't really push him back to his vertical position from the driver's seat, so I pulled over the shoulder. I open the door, I get out, I go around, I open his door, and I sort of heave his 200 pounds back up against the seat and hold it there while I get the seatbelt, get it across, and that more or less holds him upright. He didn't sort of bat an eye during any of that, so that was good. And on the way down the road, I think, well, he still seems to be pretty out, so I'll try to sneak in a call to my stepmother on the speakerphone and tell her, please, stay awake when I get home, because Dad's had a little too much to drink. He's, if I drive to my mom's house, he's not going to be able to drive himself back. And she says, okay, that's fine. And so he didn't really seem to register. I think I got away with it. But looking back, I think he must have heard me, and he must have gotten sort of somehow scared about what his wife was going to think when he shows up in that condition. Because a little while later, he sort of cracks an eye and says, pull over to the side of the road. And I do. What's up, Dad? So we just need to sit here for a little while. He's like, well, it's the middle of the night. We're in the middle of nowhere. We gotta go. So I keep driving, and the closer we get to our hometown, the more urgent his pleas get that we not go back to his house, or we not go home. And when we cross the city limits, the pleas turn from urgent to sort of nasty, and he says things like, I don't need you. I can put you out on the side of the road. This is just George's truck. You don't think it knows the way home? And then it gets a little bit worse of, you're nothing to me. You're dead to me. And I kind of swallow that as best I can and just keep driving. And finally we get to the 4-lane divided highway that is right past the turnoff to my dad's subdivision. And we're going about, 65 miles down the road, and he reaches over and shifts the truck into park, pulls the key out, and throws it on the floorboard. And when that happens, when you're going 60 miles an hour down the road, a couple things happen. First, the power steering goes out, and the power brakes go out. So I use the emergency brake, and I manage to sort of muscle the car over to the shoulder of the road so we don't get hit. And I just turn to my dad, and I say, "What are you doing?" And I see a set of keys in the console that's a spare set, and I grab those so he can't take those. And I start the truck again, and I say, "We're going home," and I shift the car back into drive and head down the highway. But I only make it about 1,000 yards before he reaches over and forces the wheel over so that we head off into the median of the 4-lane divided highway. And we stop there, and I really don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get the next half mile to my dad's house sort of without one or both of us getting killed. And that's when he pulls out the gun. And it's a model 1911 pistol like they developed right before World War I that he kept between the seats. And he pulls it out into the cab of the truck, and I just look at him and say, "Dad, are you going to shoot me?" And he says, "No, I love you. I would never hurt you." And he raises the gun out the window of the car, and he fires it 3 times in the air. And it's stress signal. And I just say, "Dad, please put the gun down." And finally, he does. He puts it down in the back seat, and I drive the rest of the way to his house and get in my stepmother's Lexus to go over to my mom's. And on the way there, my stepmother says, "Now, please don't tell your mama what happened, because she might not want you to come back to our house after this." And I didn't tell my mom what happened. And the next day when my dad called to apologize and make a sort of vague offer to help buy me a car, I kind of forgot about the ultimatum I was going to give about never drinking again around me, and I kind of let it go. And I even went hunting with him again, and I even rode in cars with him again. And I felt later, looking back, like there was a part of myself that was very precious that I had sold a little too cheaply in that transaction. But things change, and I don't talk to my dad anymore. We don't really have any kind of connection at all now. And I think part of that's because I have 2 boys of my own, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I love my boys, and I need my boys, and they need me. And so I don't have any guns. Thank you.